MarzGurl.
I'm JoshKnightTheFirst.
And welcome to episode 49 of MokkoriPlay, the only podcast dedicated solely to all things City Hunter.
On today's podcast, we're going to cover episode 49 of City Hunter, titled Sister in Doubt, Mokkori is Her Guide to Love?
Question mark, exclamation mark?
We're not sure?
Is it?
Maybe.
But we're excited to find out. That's what the exclamation mark is for.
Because, like we kind of pointed out in last week's episode, we finally had somebody, after almost the entirety of season 1, finally tell Rio, yo, you need Jesus. So this week, we're going to deal with a client who has in fact found God and is looking for something else.
And she's hoping that, while she's supposed to dedicate herself to God, that she can still be of and in the world at the same time, which you are very not supposed to do when you are a nun.
You think about it, how many times in media have you seen the running joke you see in a background or something like that is the nun who's doing something very normal? Like, that's a point of comedy?
Yeah, I mean, you remember when we used to live in San Antonio, and mind you, San Antonio was a pretty high-level Catholic city.
Oh, very
right?
high, yeah.
And
South Texas.
We would just see the nuns walking around like they're just out on the sidewalk, a gaggle of nuns.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You just see them we'd see them like going to do laundry or whatever. You know, they have to do normal things. They have to go shopping. Like, that's a thing. They just gotta go shopping. Also, nuns don't look the way you think they look in media. At least they don't anymore. Like,
I mean, it depends.
the ones in San Antonio were not wearing, like, the big, long, black gowns. They were wearing, like, these kind of mid-calf, white and blue.
There were a lot of those, but I never saw any mid-calf, at least not where I worked, because I used to work next to a very heavily Catholic school, a private school there.
Yeah.
And so the nuns would constantly come into my job around lunchtime to get food. And so 9 times out of 10, there was like 4 or 5 of them. Most of them had sweaters on, very demure, very, oh, that's nice.
Well, yeah,
but
they were just wearing kind of granny-looking clothes sometimes, actually.
yeah, but then you kind of don't think of them as normal people, but you got to remember, and this is the thing the episode tries to impress, is that they're still people. So, like, if you have a conversation with them, like, how do you want your sandwich today? Something like that. They're like, oh yeah, spice that up. And it's like, oh, that's a normal reaction. I didn't think you had personality.
So this nun does have personality, and we just start off with this nun, just right at the gate.
Yeah, so we're introduced at the very beginning to Jesus! No, this very large crucifix at this church.
Which, you know, especially in a Catholic church, they want to make sure you don't just see the crucifix, the cross itself. We need to see Jesus himself nailed to this cross.
More on the pain-inducing side of like, oh, that looks like it's painful.
Well, that's the Catholicism, Josh. That's the, hey, remember why you're here. Don't you ever forget. This man died for you. Never forget that. The second you look away and you forget this man died for you, like, that's his dying body right there.
So this...
Don't you ever forget that.
So this episode brought to you by Catholic Guild.
Very literally, actually. Like, she's going this whole episode, like, this nun is praying. And you figure out very quickly the reason she's praying is, like, please forgive me, God, because I deliberately plan on sinning all night long.
Well, it's even a question of whether or not you would consider what she's doing sin entirely.
Well,
like, now we gotta have this debate in this episode.
It depends on whether or not you think nuns think. I guess it depends on the nun. How much is a nun allowed to enjoy of just what people make and do and enjoy that's not put on this earth by God?
Look, Kaylin, life, all right? Like, her decision this week is life. And so we'll go ahead and tell you guys right now, because this is another episode, yet again, where they forgot to tell us her name for pretty much half the episode.
Even when she runs into our main characters, she doesn't actually introduce herself or give her name. We just suddenly, somewhere like 5 to 10 minutes down the road, just suddenly somebody says her name out loud. Like, what are Sunrise's writers doing?
I don't know, but we're gonna fix it right now, because we're starting to do it. Her name is Kyoko. Let's get that out there. Her name is Kyoko.
Okay, but we do not find that out for a long time.
I know. Like, they must be working through their process of like, all right, let's get our story beats down. Let's see if there's any action sequences.
They must care more about what kind of a person is this while they're writing it, and then just realize somewhere down the road, damn it, we did it again. What the fuck is her name?
Oh, God, I don't know. You dip into the... They must have, I imagine, like, a goldfish bowl filled with post-it notes of, like, random Japanese women's names.
I don't know, maybe that's me speaking as a woman, but what the fuck, Sunrise? You just conveniently forget that women need names?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Just to play DA for a second, Devil's Advocate, they don't usually name the male characters either.
Josh, when do they have male characters?
When there's thugs and goons.
Then you don't need to name thugs and goons. You don't need to. You need to name the person who's in trouble, though.
Yeah, that is true, yes. And I wish they would remember quicker. So yes, Kyoko is not necessarily having a crisis of faith, even though it would appear that she is.
She's just having a crisis of, am I allowed to enjoy life? Am I allowed to enjoy this world even though I'm committing myself to God?
And in order to explore this possibility of whether or not that's a good or bad thing, she does it in a way that I find very close to my own heart. She literally lives out every single Yakuza sub-story and side quest you could possibly do.
So the first thing she does is goes to an arcade, and she plays what must be like
Super Hang-On or something.
Or Super Hang-On. So it's an arcade machine of a motorcycle, and you lean back and forth or whatever. It's a Sega arcade game.
Yeah, so like if you were going to Dave & Buster's nowadays, you're on super bikes.
Something by Raw Thrills or something.
Yeah, exactly.
In any case, I just thought the game looked really funny because it looked way too realistic for a game from 1988. It almost looked like she was doing motorcycle VR. But, there was no screen? I didn't ever see a screen. I saw what she saw, but when the camera pulls out, we just saw the bike.
Right, we just see her on the bike peripheral. We didn't see what she was looking at, so we're led to assume either the screen is off screen, which is kind of far off.
Very far off screen.
Exactly, or this was some kind of setup where on the bike peripheral that she's riding, she was actually looking into the visor of the bike, and it was being projected.
Maybe. Regardless, that's some crazy tech for 1988, but the game looks really cool, and you see lots of really cool things, like other guys on motorcycles, a bunch of billboards.
What are on those billboards, Kaylin?
M&M's.
More M&M's advertisement. There's a lot of it.
And there's one of those archways, and you would often see these archways that you go under.
Time extended.
Yeah, in Hang On, you see these archways, and on this one archway, it says City Hunter on it.
We don't see the whole of the first
you
word.
You see the Y of City. It's extremely plain to see that they meant City Hunter.
Yeah, so just in case you forgot what show you were watching.
I'm sitting here thinking, oh man, the creators of this arcade game are really familiar with the legend of City Hunter, and they decided they really wanted to put his name in this game.
I mean, he's got his name out there.
Theme song, Josh.
Oh, this episode's not going to let you forget it, but we're getting ahead of ourselves by about a minute. So for me, as a fan of tokusatsu, of Japanese special effects shows, this is the thing that got me, right? So we zoom out to see she's run out of credits. She's going to go do something else.
But she crashed her motorcycle into the City Hunter arch.
Yeah, kind of like Jean in that one episode of Bob's Burgers.
3, 2, 1, beep. Go! Immediately left turn into a wall.
I will never not find that joke hilarious.
Yeah.
Point being, the camera comes out to see Kyoko being like, oh, I lost. And if you look at the top of the screen, there is very blatantly a cabinet, an arcade cabinet that says Ultra 7, the number 7, which is clearly, without a single bit of doubt, a reference to the Japanese tokusatsu series Ultra 7.
From the Ultraman franchise produced by Tsuburaya. But not only that, you also pointed out, is that also the Garrison logo from Ultra 7 underneath where it says Ultra 7? So this logo kind of looks like a pinwheel with only 2 blades pointing in opposite directions and a globe in the center of it.
Yeah, it's this red and blue pin. And when you look at it here in City Hunter, all they've done is they've mirrored the direction that the pin is facing, and they've inverted the color so that red is where blue is and blue is where red is.
And then there's on the actual Garrison logo in Ultra 7, there's a sort of detailed globe, and in here in City Hunter, there is a wireframe globe.
Right.
But it's basically the same thing. They just did not give a damn. They were like, yeah, we fucking love Ultra 7. Just
Hell yeah.
slap
Who
that
doesn't
shit
love
on
Ultra
an
7?
arcade machine. It's incredible.
I love that they're shouting out Ultra 7. I love it. And then just for the hell of it, we just noticed this guy in the background on another cabinet, and he's just got this leather jacket with a skull and crossbones that says death.
I mean, that guy's cool. Like,
Well, don't mess with him. He's a badass.
He's rad, man.
Clearly. So she goes to play some other games, right? And she goes to what essentially is the whack-a-mole game that you see at most arcades, except this one is called, translated, Mole Fight.
Yeah, that's the translation of the words on this machine. Oh my god, this machine. So there are moles, okay?
There's a mole.
There's a mole. Then there's a robot in the top right-hand corner that we've zoomed in on. And I feel like it must be a reference to something, but I'm not really sure what it is. If anybody sees this and they're like, oh my god, it's this thing, please let us know, and then we'll, like, update that later. But then, in the bottom left-hand corner, for sure,
clearly,
it's a thing.
It's specifically the head. Like, the colors are a little different, but the design is unmistakable. This is the head of the mech from Armored Trooper Votoms.
Now, they have kind of relocated...
Where the three irises are?
There are 3 irises on the face of this helmet, but aside from that, it's identical. It has this little antenna earpiece on the left-hand side of the helmet, and I double-checked. Sunrise animated that show in 1983, so I think they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, it's just like, of all the things to remember, like, I remember back in the day when I was first getting into anime for real, not just the stuff that was on Toonami. If you remember, who did you say put out Votoms over here?
I think it was CPM, Central Park Media.
I remember I had a buddy of mine who gave me a tape that had, like, a sizzle reel on it, a commercial for Votoms on it.
Yeah.
Mind you, there was only so much anime out at the time, back in the early 2000s. You didn't have the biggest choices like you do nowadays, because you had to choose between, like, Votoms and Violence Jack and Wicked City. You know, not the cream of the crop of anime.
By the early 2000s, you were kind of getting there, actually. This was right before the bubble burst, and so good things were finally showing up by then. But if you're looking back through history before you got there, yes, I would totally agree.
And then she goes and plays pachinko for a bit, and, you know, she's doing really well, and for me, you know, she gets a good high score, but it's 7, 7, 7.
But that's just gambling. It's not an Ultraman thing.
But it could be.
No,
7, 7.
But it's just a gambling thing.
It's just a gambling thing.
And I know people are like, wow, she's really good at pachinko, and I am of the mindset that, like, you can be kind of skilled at pachinko, but it's still just a luck machine. Give me a break. Like, you've got a really lucky machine, ma'am.
I mean, not in her case. She's got God on her side.
God's letting her gamble tonight is what that tells me. God is just like, girl, you do you.
And so in doing that, she's like, okay, I'm done here at the arcade. Let's go take in a movie. So she heads over to see this movie called Yappari Ken-san.
And I kind of disagree with later on. I don't know why Discotech did not subtitle this initially, and then only the second time we see this poster come up do we see the name of the film. So I was looking up the kanji, and yes, that kanji can read as Ken on its own, but also as a name, it could have been Sukoyaka, so Sukoyaka-san. Like Mr. Sukoyaka. I guess they just had to make a choice. You have to either choose. It's either Ken or maybe it's Sukoyaka, because that's how this kanji is read when it's some person's name, but they never say his name out loud, so I guess you really just have to decide. I'm deciding it's read like this.
Well, I imagine because this looks like some sort of a samurai flick that she's catching.
Sure.
Naming the guy Ken, you know, Ken like a sword, that makes sense.
I get it. I'm just also like, yeah, but that's not how it's read when it's a person's name. But fine, okay.
And so now that she's done watching this movie, which she really loves, by the way, she loves this movie, now it's time to go hit up the discotheque.
But not Discotech Media, like an actual disco dance hall.
And we need a song to dance to, you know, something that's got a good beat to it, something that maybe could be considered a theme song for a local sweeper. When I tell you folks that I've only got so much left in me for this season of hearing Go-Go Heaven every damn episode.
but we're not even done hearing Go-Go Heaven.
We're not.
This episode.
We're not. It's just like,
that's not even the last time it plays.
Sunrise.
This episode.
I don't understand how much money was paid to license out this song I just need you to know other songs exist.
Josh, even when this stops being the intro at the beginning of next season, they'll still use this song as an insert theme just randomly playing around in the second season. I don't know why. Maybe because canonically it still remains City Hunter's theme song.
Like, the way they play it in universe makes you think it was the #1 hit song in all of Japan on the Oricon charts for like the whole year.
From 1987 to 1988.
Bridging 2 whole years. But now Kyoko's gone from the discotheque to get a drink, and she's a little tipsy, and she's found herself in a park on a bench.
A park bench.
A park bench, yeah, that'd be correct. And she meets a little friend there, a little 4-legged friend.
It's a dog. Aw, the dog's cute. The dog really likes her. I wish that she would just adopt the dog right now. Like, they're best friends very quickly, and this dog is like, oh, I'm gonna give this lady kisses. I like this lady.
Yeah, the dog's just, licking her face, licking the very large crucifix she has there, rosary that she's wearing.
This will come up later, but I guess he claimed the rules of, I licked it, it's mine.
Well, sort of. So we cut to the next morning, and we find that for the rest of this episode, they're very specific about the time of day and the order in which events happen for the rest of the show, because very clearly we see on the background there, we're in like downtown Shinjuku or something. I mean, I don't know if you'd say downtown, but in a very populated part of Shinjuku. And we see Kaori and Ryo there on the sidewalk, and in the background we clearly see that it is now 8:09 a.m.
Correct.
And what's funny is when we're there at the crosswalk, we see Ryo yawning, it's pretty early in the morning, and Kaori's there next to him, but like her face.
Her face is just lines. It's not super detailed, which is funny because for the rest of the episode, her face is incredibly detailed, actually. But the very first shot of her is like, oh god, we gotta draw her damn face. Just put 2 dots. Here's 2 lines for some eyebrows, maybe a dot for a nose, and a line for a mouth. Nailed it.
Yep, that'll do. And the thing I have to bring up here, Kaori's look this episode, the fit. They made her look very cute and very attractive.
There's something I gotta say about some of the shadowing on her back for the entirety of the episode, because I was never really sure if it was just the way her top was shadowed, because it always looked like a shadow on her back. But then in some other shots, it looked like it was this weird artsy looking cat with no shadows where there should be eyes, and then it's got like arms and claws coming to the back of it, but you're never really sure because it kind of just looks like shadows.
Yeah, so she's wearing heels, she's wearing this blue miniskirt, and like you just described, this kind of burgundy blouse that has a black cat on it. But it was kind of hard to tell in some shots.
Well, I'm still not even sure.
I'm pretty sure there was a cat design on it.
I think it was deliberate, but I wondered if they were like, this design will make it very easy for us to always have the correct shadowing and never mess it up. I don't know. Like, maybe it was an animator's guide that just ended up looking very cat-like. I don't know. I really don't know.
But aside from that, we've talked about in other episodes where the animators for the episode very much focused on her butt.
Yeah.
This week it's leg.
Yeah, there's a lot of leg happening. And specifically, here as Kaori and Ryo are out running around trying to get stuff done for the day, Ryo's off chasing skirts literally in the streets. And he's very excited about mini skirts. And he's on the ground after Kaori has hit him.
Yeah, she got him with a 10-ton hammer because he was hitting on some woman nearby. And he's telling Kaori, look, I couldn't help but hit on her. I just couldn't get over that awesome mini skirt she was wearing.
Which is where we see the camera pan up Kaori's legs.
And she's like, what am I wearing, a wool fanny pack?
Which would be ugly. That would be a very ugly thing.
I mean, it depends on where you sell it. If you put the Chanel logo on there, you can sell that mess for like $900.
Sure, you could sell it for that much simply because the logo's on it. I'm still gonna call it ugly.
I agree.
But here's Ryo thinking he's being funny, but I can't actually tell if he's being, like, kind of transphobic. I feel like it could come off that way, but also I feel like he's really just trying to jerk around with Kaori. Like, you could interpret it either way, but he's like, now far be it from me to judge anybody, but I really don't think men should wear mini skirts.
And of course, she doesn't take it very well. She socks him in the face. He had it coming.
He had it coming. He deserved it.
But I'm of the mind of 100% he's just doing it to dick with with her, because clearly we've already been over the fact that we know Ryo finds Kaori attractive.
Oh yeah, like when he first met her, again, we have to reiterate, he was super into her, especially before he realized that this was Makimura's sister. And even when he still knew that it was Makimura's sister, he was still kinda into her, and then only after Makimura died did he really start dicking with her like this.
Right, and as far as we can tell, it's a defense mechanism so that he can, one, keep her at arm's length, and two, keep things at a reasonable distance so that things don't get too complicated.
Sure.
And see, the funny part about this is after she's done knocking his lights out, now we see that a full minute has passed because the background tells us it is now 8:10.
I was just like, they didn't need to update that badly, but they did it, which was, good job for that consistency. All right, cool, guys.
So they make their way over to Shinjuku Station, and we deal with an early problem in the episode, which is that, again, we've hit another dry spell for City Hunter. There you have no jobs right now.
Freelance economy, woo!
And so Kaori's over here talking to Ryo about, look, we're going to have to start handing out flyers. We really need to drum up some business. Ryo's like, don't worry, I got this. We'll just use the chalkboard ourselves. I'll write an ad for people to come to us.
And Kaori's actually like, hey, that's actually kind of a good idea. Go for it. And he starts writing out, we'll take any job at all whatsoever. Of course, this only applies to young women.
If you're hot, you get a discount.
Something Mokkori. And then Kaori is very upset at this and shoves Ryo's face into the chalkboard. Of course, he had it coming. But this is exactly perfect timing because unnamed nun lady,
Kyoko,
who has not yet been named Kyoko, shows up.
She puts her arm on Kaori's arm as she's socking Ryo into the wall.
And it's like, 1, don't hit people. God doesn't like that. 2, you're taking jobs? Great, I have a job. I really, really need your help.
And they're like, oh, really? Okay, let's go discuss business. And so they go to the local restaurant, which we've seen before, Donald Mags.
Donald Mags.
But before we go inside to the interior of the restaurant, we have to see this whole big truck of M&Ms passing by.
Did Kaori order the truck?
She might have pre-ordered the truck.
That truck is a delivery truck, and it's going straight to their apartment building.
Like the driver saw Kaori there, like, oh, Miss Makimura, you want your Thursday delivery? Not now.
Just leave it at the door.
So I appreciate that when they're inside talking business, we actually see Ryo and Kaori eating their food.
Yeah, like actually chewing and everything.
But Kyoko informs them, look, I know this isn't the biggest job, but it's really important to me. I need you to do a lost and found job for me. I lost my rosary last night. I don't know where it is, but I feel the Lord is testing me right now.
Shouldn't you take that to the cops? Yeah, but no, just help.
Please. So Ryo's like, all right, fine. I'll start by examining the scene of the crime. So you roar that around your neck. Okay, so that means I gotta look here and a little south. Yeah. So her chest. She's looking at her chest. Kaori pushes him out of the way and she's like, okay, well, don't worry about what Ryo's talking about. Let's just retrace your steps from last night. What did you do?
So they go outside and she's like, okay, among some other things, I did the arcade and then I went to the movies. I remember having it there. Yeah, okay, great. Let's go to the movies. And they go and they stand outside, and finally here's where Discotheque has decided we need to subtitle what the name of this movie actually is, and they've decided it's
Ken, of course.
Ken, of course. Yappari Ken-san.
Which I would have done more as, of course it's Ken. Like, change the...
I mean, you could have done this any number of ways, which is why I am also of the opinion of you also could have translated his name any number of ways, but they had to make a decision. They just had to pick, because nobody actually reads the name of this movie out loud. So the translators just have to decide, I guess this is what it's called.
And so they're here at the theater and Kyoko's like, well, we're here. You want to go see it?
And I'm sitting here thinking, ma'am, you have already seen this film. You don't need to see it again. But they go and they watch this movie.
Now, what I find hard to believe, and yet not at the same time, is that she goes in to see this movie and she, unfortunately, is one of those annoying people at the theater. When you're really paying attention to the movie, she's reacting to everything that happens. So this seems to be a violent movie.
Yeah,
right?
We see main character taking out his sword and cutting people, and there's a little bit of blood.
And so every time somebody gets hit, she's just there crying out to God, oh Lord, please forgive them. They know not what they do.
Like,
pray for the souls of the dead in this movie.
One, you've already seen this movie. Two, tell me you know it's fiction. Tell me you know that this is not real, and these are actors, and nobody is really dead.
See, because, like, I can say I grew up in a very pretty conservative religious household growing up, and there was a time where they try to tell you certain things shouldn't be watched because of, you know, the violence or whatever in there. But I don't think there was ever a problem with somebody trying to tell me or teach me that this wasn't real.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
So I find it hard that her, I assume she's in her 20s, early 20s, because they never say how old she is, but, you know, old enough to take her vows. 20 at best, let's say. Mm-hmm. Surely she understands fiction. She knows this is a movie. She
really
knows there's an actor.
It. She enjoyed it. Yeah, she even said, "Oh, this actor is great." She said that out loud. So she knows it's an actor.
So she's over here, you know, yelling at the top of her lungs, and Ryo's having to apologize to the rest of the audience, like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it. She's not from around here."
It's funny that he's like bowing, and at the same time there's some other character on screen also bowing at the same time he is. Like, that's just humorous.
Now, thankfully, somebody had to do their job, and that someone was Cowdy. So outside of the theater, she runs back to check in with him. "Hey, sorry, I checked with the box office. Your rosary isn't here, so we're gonna have to check somewhere else." And she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I went over here across the street." So they look across the street at, like, okay, where are you talking about? And there's this several-story building. It's got a couple of businesses on it, and for whatever reason, the bottom floor is a KFC.
I mean, it's not the first time they've used KFC, though. It actually says Kentucky Fried Chicken on it, so it's not like a knockoff KFC, like they've got a knockoff McDonald's. No, this is actual, factual Kentucky Fried Chicken. But also, she clarifies, well, no, I didn't go get chicken, neither did I go to the gun range that's in there.
The airsoft range.
It's airsoft guns, because I wouldn't do that, because that's violent, and God says shooting takes lives and souls, and that's bad. To which Ryo just gives her a look like, I need to not tell this woman what I do for a living.
Which is, I think, the smart move. And she's like, "No, I went up to the 4th floor where the disco is." And we can see the sign on the outside. It's written in both katakana and in English, Disco Luludu. So, Rududu.
Rududu, yeah. But, so yeah, it's spelled out with L's, Luludu on the sign. But then in the very next shot, it's subtitled. She says it out loud. Yeah, I went to Disco Rurudu with ours.
And we don't understand why they decided to sub it that way.
Well, I kind of know how that would have happened, because like a translator might not always have the video file when they're doing the translating. They might only have the script. So they just did the most literal thing that they thought might have been correct and wrote out Rurudu. But then the person doing the subtitle editing should have been like, oh, well, in the previous shot, it says it like, it's kind of little and it's in cursive, but you can see it. It says Luludu with L's. So maybe correct that and keep it consistent, but they did not do that. So, okay.
Now, again, in keeping with the whole passing of time during the day, we get there and we see that outside club Luludu, because I'm going to say it like it's showed on the screen, that the club doesn't open until 6, and Ryo says, well, that's not until 5 hours from now. So, again, we see passage of time. Obviously, it has to be 1 o'clock in the afternoon now.
I know time math.
It's the only math you do know.
Yeah.
And so now they're like, well, we got to kill 5 hours. Where else can we look?
Well, okay, since we can't look at the disco right now, the place I went after the disco was back to the hotel. And to get to the hotel, we gotta cut through the park. Okay, let's go to the park. Oh no, the park has 2 branches that might reach back to the hotel, and one of them's real short and one of them's real long. Kaori, why don't you take the long way all by your own lonesome self, and me and, oh, now we know her name. It's Kyoko. Me and Kyoko, whose name we totally knew this whole time.
But I've only said just now.
We'll go down the short way through the park.
And so Cowdy kind of like mimics Ryo to his back and then like hauls ass down toward the hotel where they're going to meet up. And Kyoko and Ryo are taking the short path. And the whole time, Ryo's just kind of giggling and grunting to himself about all the Mokkori possibilities.
Which he's really just wasting his time, because he could be spending that time, you know, talking to her, getting to know her and stuff.
Seeing who she is as a person.
Which it could actually help him in his goal to do the thing that he wants to do, and instead he's wasting his time just thinking and snickering to himself.
Yeah, doing that.
Yeah.
So as Kaori is running like hell to try and get to the hotel to beat Ryo and Kyoko there and to head off anything Ryo might do, she notices something shining on the grass there in the park.
And for a split second, you're like, oh my god, is it the rosary? No, it's a 100 yen coin.
And you can see the numbers on there, 100.
A 100 yen coin is very distinct from other coins in size, shape, and color. I just want to put that out there because in one of the next shots, Kaori's like, oh, I'm gonna go run up to it and see it. Oh, it's a 100 yen coin. I guess I'll pick it up. And somebody stomps their foot down on it, and it's some homeless guy, and he's like, what do you think you're doing with my 500 yen coin? And nobody stops to correct him like, sir, that was not 500 yen. A 500 yen piece is much larger and a different color entirely. You're wrong, sir. Kaori doesn't correct him because I'm pretty sure that she doesn't know because the animators and the voice actors were not speaking to each other.
Well, yeah,
so
it's hard to say where the missing communication was. Either the animators didn't tell the script writers or vice versa. Either way, what is said does not match with what we see.
So anyway, Kaori gives up the coin, whatever denomination it is.
And you know, she's a little winded. She's got to go get a drink of water, so she drinks from a fountain nearby. And as she's doing that, we see the doggy from earlier in the episode. And what do we see around his neck? It's the rosary.
Wow.
The doggy converted.
Josh, that dog's got Catholic guilt.
I don't think that dog feels guilt at all. That dog is just walking around basking in the love of Christ. And so Kaori sees it, and she's like, is that the thing we're looking for? And then she goes through the bushes trying to find the dog, but the dog's gone.
And then she's just like, dog wouldn't have been able to tie a rosary around its neck anyway. Oh well, I guess I'll go.
Yeah, dog wouldn't have been wearing a rosary. Dogs are agnostic.
Dogs are just wholly unaware of religion.
Dogs are proof that God loves us.
I agree with that, but the dog doesn't understand that.
Well, the dog needs to go to seminary.
Has this dog taken his communion yet? Has this dog been baptized yet?
Has this dog been given its Christian name? The dog's named Mark. A nice Christian name.
It used to be Bark.
Mark, who was formerly Bark. Oh, good lord. I mean, okay.
Yeah, that's what the dog said, and that's why he's Catholic now. And also with you, Mark.
And the church said amen. So we're at the hotel now, all right? And Kaori hasn't made it to the hotel yet, and Ryo decides, well, that's fine. Let's go ahead and check your room again, Kyoko.
She's like, no, I already did that. He's like, no, you need my eyes on that room.
My special eyes.
And she's like, oh, okay, let's go.
So they get in the elevator to get up to her room, and Ryo happens to be so giddy that they're getting up there, he's whistling to himself or humming to himself.
He's humming to himself. He's humming the first opening theme of the series, Ayo Kianaide. So he's just going,
like very blatantly.
It is pretty blatant. Meanwhile, this whole time, both while they were in the lobby and as they're getting into the elevator, they've used some of the original City Hunter background music, some of the quieter, nicer music, and you can tell that they've muffled it in such a way
that's like
that
Muzak now.
It's like Muzak that's playing over the hotel lobby speakers. So now it is incorporated as part of, no, this music exists in this world.
And so they make their way back to Kyoko's room, and the place is totally trashed.
And he's just like, oh no, you got raided. Who did this? And she's like, I did. What, you mean you were looking for your rosary in here and this is what you did to this room? Well then never mind, I guess I'm never gonna find it. And she's like, no, it's fine. You're totally gonna find it because you're real good at this. We're just gonna clean the room, so we're gonna do this backwards and then you're gonna find it. And Ryo's just like, oh no, I do not do the cleaning. Now we need to wait for Kaori to show up, even though that's exactly what he was trying to avoid. Kaori can do the cleaning part, but Kyoko is not having it, and she demands that he help her clean in order to find this thing, and he could not get out of it.
So now we can see out the window, time has passed, and now it's getting close to sunset. Ryo is exhausted because now the room looks immaculate, but he's got no energy left.
Yeah, it's over.
And so now Kyoko's kind of contemplating how things are going, because this whole time as all of these events have been happening, she's been contemplating her life life and her choices and what all of this means. And she says, I wonder if this isn't some kind of lesson I need to be taught right now. I went to all of these places to have all this fun, and then I lost this thing that was so important to me. And I don't know, I'm left with this feeling of emptiness. And she explains to Rio, I'm on leave from the commune that I normally stay at, and when I'm done with this leave, I'm going to take my vows, to become a full-fledged nun, and it's basically like I'm going to get married to God.
It's a very biblical thing.
And so Rio decides to talk to her about this because he sees she's really perturbed, she's really upset about all this. And he tells her something incredibly profound for all the things Rio could say to a woman. He tells her, hey, you gotta remember, at the end of the day, even if you're a human who loves God, you're still gonna be a human.
Which is kind of interesting. That's actually something I've heard a lot of preachers say, is that this is exactly why you need God, because you're never gonna be perfect like God, because you're just human.
But see, Rio uses it to be like, you're not perfect, you're gonna mess up, and so in order to, move things along in that direction, we should just get married. You know what, I'm just gonna take my shirt off right now.
Yeah, like now it has gone in the total wrong direction, because if this was actually a man of God would be like, look, you are gonna mess up, you're not necessarily gonna do it on purpose, you should be striving to do your best and achieve perfection every single day, but if you don't achieve perfection, don't kick yourself in the butt. But Rio is not like that. Rio is just like, well, if you're not gonna be perfect,
if you're not no, Rio's whole thing is, if you're not going to achieve perfection, at least with me you might achieve orgasm.
I mean, he doesn't literally say that, but
that's what he's thinking.
That's the direction he's headed.
And almost like a sign from God, as he goes to lunge at her, he gets hit with the divine punishment hammer, the Tenchu hammer, from Cowdy, because thank God she made it in the nick of time.
Right.
But would you look at the time, though? It's 6 p.m. It's time to go to the disco. It's been a full night. Do you think they're playing something different at the disco?
I mean, surely you would think they've got enough music to be able
it's the 80s. There's great music right now. Surely there's some other song.
Some kind of early Eurobeat or something.
Yeah, some kind of nice
high
dance.
NRG music, yeah.
Something
Italia disco.
Yeah, there's something imported from the States. There's a lot of good music. Some Michael Jackson, I don't know.
Something British, I don't know.
Yeah, British wave. All right, let's go ahead and go into the disco, open the doors. What are they playing right now?
Dun 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 dun.
Again!
The third time this episode we have heard this damn song. Oh my god. They must really have one playlist. They have one playlist and it goes in the exact same order and it starts at the exact same time every night. But mind you, this whole series of errands that they've been doing and waiting for certain things to open at certain times, it just really feels like we're just playing Shenmue. Mind you, the events of Shenmue happen in 1986, but Shenmue wasn't made until 1999, so... But I am just saying, I don't want to have these war flashbacks to Shenmue, sitting and waiting please wait for the disco to open up, and you just leave the menu open on your wristwatch while you literally watch time pass, and then you can go to the disco.
So clearly, nothing's happening here at the disco. They don't even dance. They just check real quick. No, there's no rosary here. Cowdy even thinks, somebody might have swiped it if you dropped it here, so I don't think we're going to get anywhere here. We should go somewhere else. Let's go back to the apartment.
Our apartment, yeah, to Kaori and Ryo's place, which they do, and Ryo is just extremely excited about this set of circumstances.
You see his whole thought process here, this thought bubble above his head of, oh, we're gonna go back to the apartment, I'm gonna kick Kaori out, I'm gonna hit on her, and then we get to a makeout session, which you see there in Japanese, making out, or the sound effect of that is icha icha.
Like Icha Icha Paradise.
From Naruto.
The manga, the fake manga from Naruto.
That Kakashi is always reading.
Right.
And so here at the apartment, we see a little bit more information that we hadn't really had before about the spacing of the apartment. And so Cowdy pushes Kyoko into her room, and Ryo tries to follow suit and enter in, and Cowdy tells him, no, you're not coming in. Your room is one floor up.
Oh, so now we know they have two totally different apartments on two totally different floors of this building. Can I just say, I don't know if you'll be able to re-edit this back in. I just remembered all the way back to the film that they watched.
I was going to circle back to it, but go ahead.
We did not mention this earlier, but this film was produced by or it's screening at Sunrise Cinema with the Sunrise S logo on it. I'm so upset we didn't actually say this at the appropriate time, but it needs to be said because what are you doing this week, Sunrise? You're putting everything in this show.
We're 2 episodes from the end. After this, everything must go. And so Rio's like, all right, okay, I won't come in there. I'll just go to my room. All right, have a good night. Bye. He's lying. He makes his way through the inner workings of the roof above where Coyote's apartment is, saying, no god will stop me, Kaori either, I'ma get my Mokkori. And so he's listening out, and he thinks he hears the sound of running water.
Which he does. He's not wrong. There's water running. But he's just like, oh my god, the nun is bathing right now. This is my chance. And he cuts a hole in the ceiling, and he jumps on out, and he's ready to tackle her in the shower. But that's not who's there. It's Kaori in there, waiting, with a hammer, and she's got water running from the sink.
And it totally fooled him. She's like, no, I know you, dumbass. I don't want to mishear that instead of, words or numbers on the hammer, this time she's got the comedy crow on there.
That's true. We have no idea how heavy this hammer is. The weight of the hammer is, this was effing stupid, Rio. That's the weight of the hammer.
The weight of this hammer is a crow and a set of ellipses. So yeah, that didn't work. Let's try from the outside.
So now, Rio is rappelled down from the floor above, outside the window, and he's got a chainsaw strapped to his back, which seems pretty extreme.
Not just any chainsaw, though.
So this is a very specifically licensed brand chainsaw.
So it's not just that he has a chainsaw. He has a very specifically branded Husqvarna brand chainsaw.
I had to look this up because, I don't know, I bet other people know chainsaws better than I do. But no, that is a very real brand, and they still do this thing. They must have done this thing for the past 35 years or more, where they have put their logo and the entire name of their brand of chainsaw on the middle of the blade of the chainsaw. And they decided we really need this detail on every single shot of this chainsaw. This was really important to them. I don't know whether this was paid advertising.
I don't know how it wasn't.
Or if this was like, oh no, that's just a really kooky detail that we really need to make sure gets in there.
Well, because you think of any other chainsaw in any other cartoon, right? It's just some blanket red chainsaw.
Yeah, it's just brrr, the chainsaw.
But
that's
no,
it.
They decide, no, we need to specifically say it was this brand, this make and model. Maybe they'll give us money.
It's not Black & Decker, I can tell you that much. It's the only one I could have imagined, but I didn't know this brand existed, and apparently it's been in existence a very long time, and they still do this branding right on the blade.
Well, anyway, none of that matters because Ryo can't even get to use it just yet because Coyote notices he's there on the rope and cuts the rope.
And then he falls to the ground, which would typically kill a man, but it did not kill him.
Because as we're about to see right now, Ryo isn't a man. He's a Looney Tune.
He's just a cartoon character, and I know that anime is just cartoons, but we are in fact doing Merry Melodies kind of antics.
So we cut to Coyote trying to get Kyoko to settle down. They're having, cups of coffee, and she's like, hey, you want me to Irish that up for you? I got some brandy here. And she's like, yeah. No, give me some more. She's like, can you take that much?
She says yes, but really she gets drunk very, very quickly.
But while she's there, sipping on her very, very alcohol-heavy coffee, we see that Ryo not only tries to come in through the chimney and then backs up, then somehow, within a matter of seconds, just like a cartoon, we see inside Kaori's room, and he has very Wile E. Coyote cut a hole in the floor and has stuck his head up through it.
Kaori's like, oh no, we're hammering this guy. But he gets away from it, and it turns out he's got holes all over this apartment.
Not only Merry Melodies, he's Scooby-Dooing this mess. He's showing up in cabinets.
He's got a hole in the wall behind a picture frame.
He pops out of drawers.
This is Bugs Bunny getting away from Wile E. E. Coyote. And
or
Wile E.
Elmer Fudd or whoever.
And Wile E. Coyote thinks he's the genius, but Bugs is clearly outwitting him. And that is what is happening here, because Cowrie is hitting everything in sight trying to hit this man, and she cannot hit this man.
Yeah, she's just trashing her own room. And we see in like some of these shots, like Rio is blatantly like rolling with a giant ass smile on his face past the camera.
He just really thinks this is funny.
And it is. It's actually incredibly funny. And so Kyoko comes into the room like hiccuping, like, oh, we playing whack-a-mole? I want to play. And Cowdy at this point's exhausted. She's like, look, just catch him. Just catch him real quick.
All right, I got him right here.
Yeah. And so as she, wraps her arms around Rio starts kind of like nuzzling her like a dog.
And then she remembered in her drunken stupor, oh yeah, a dog. A stray dog. I gave my cross to a stray dog in the park, like an idiot.
And Cowdy's like, wait, the dog from earlier?
Well, damn. Wish I had chased that guy down.
And now we gotta go back to the park. All right, let's go.
So we're back at the park. It's the middle of the night. It's dark. There's some dogs there, but they're not the right dogs. They even find some cats. Cats aren't dogs, so that's not right either.
And they search this whole park up and down until sunrise.
Okay, that is not like them doing that on purpose, but...
I mean, how do we know at this point? How do we know?
I don't think it's on purpose.
And so finally, after searching all night through this park, Kyoko's just like, you know what? I think God was just like trying to teach me patience or something, or to let stuff go. And then I remember that thing Ryo told me about, I'm still human, even if I'm trying to devote my life to God. It doesn't matter. We don't have to look anymore.
As soon as you don't want it anymore, that's when it shows up. And here comes Ryo from around the corner like, oh, guess who I found? I found the dog with the necklace. You're welcome.
Oh, well, I guess I do want the necklace. Thank you.
Sweet, we can go back to church now. Let's go.
So we finally see the mini for the first time this whole episode.
Yeah, it has had fewer and fewer appearances as time has gone on.
I think we're going to see it more towards the end here.
We see it a ton in season 2, though, for sure.
But for right now, we just need it to get up this hill towards the monastery, the commune that Kyoko's staying at.
See, up until now, she wasn't even a real nun. She wasn't even a real nun, Josh. But today she's a real nun.
Today she's going to be a real nun. But she's also a real nun that has asked for permission to keep the dog.
And they said, yeah, you can keep a dog. Why not? At least God lets them keep pets. That's the good news. Well, okay, he's not going to be a pet. They said he has to be a guard dog. And apparently the dog is very happy about that because he barks very happily in response to that idea.
But he also barks along with Cowdy.
Well, yeah, because, Ryo says something stupid like he always does. Something flirty like, hey, come back to me if you ever stop believing in God or whatever. And,
yeah, it was really horrible for him to say that.
And Cowrie and the dog, look at Ryo like, what the man? And the dog barks at him while Cowrie is yelling at him. So
that's
this
2 weeks in a row.
2 episodes in a row where Cowrie has kind of made friends very quickly with a dog, and then Cowrie and the dog are on the same wavelength and can suddenly understand these weird men and then start shouting at these weird men like, whoa man, you're being kind of weird.
Maybe we should just give her a dog.
I wish they would. I don't think she ever gets a pet. She should have a pet. Give that nice lady a pet.
And so now that they've solved the case, they found the rosary, they've dropped her off, they can leave now, and Ryo declares himself, even though she's found God, I am still the god of Mokkori. Q get wild.
I know that Shinto's got a lot of gods, alright? I don't know that they got that one specifically.
And even if they did, I don't want to see what the prayer statue looks like.
Actually, you know what? No, this is real. So
God, what have I done?
I think it was the same city that I lived in while I was studying in Japan. They've got a penis festival. Surely you've seen, it went viral many, many, many years ago. Footage and photos of this penis festival. Okay? A whole festival. This town, they shut down several blocks to have a parade. Okay? And they have just these giant, very Shinto style. You know how they'll carry shrines? And, they kind of bounce up and down the street with these shrines. So there's a penis shrine that they gotta carry down the street. And it has, Josh, the white Shinto rope that goes around trees, the special trees in Shinto. They put that around the penis shrine. They sell penis-shaped snacks. There's children with, frozen treats in the shape of penises. So, I'm thinking that might be Rio. Okay, is what I'm telling you.
I'm thinking you have never said penis this many times on the internet.
I don't think I've ever said penis this many times in my life.
So that's the episode, folks. Oh my god. I've never heard you say the word penis that many times, and we're married.
Well, because at a certain point, the word penis is too clinical.
God. Oh, man. Oh, this is how we're ending the episode this week.
Penis! Anyway, next week is episode 50.
Oh, God. Okay, well, hold on. I want to at least talk about this episode without talking about the dicks. Okay, so the episode's really funny. I think the art's really good this week because I think they had the budget for it, whatever was left over.
They went super detailed on Kaori's face, like a lot.
And
they
hell
made
of
her,
a lot.
They made her very cute, even though Rio is sitting here, like, mocking her for looking like a dude.
He's lying.
It's not true, and the animators don't think it's true.
The animators know the truth.
The animators think she's cute. Whatever.
And yeah, this is, like, as cartoony as City Hunter gets.
And there's, like, no actual stakes involved anywhere.
There's no violence this week,
It's
like no
just-
shootout.
It's just fun, but the animators, like Sunrise just thought, how many inside jokes can we get away with in a single episode?
All right, we've got 25 minutes. Go.
Put them all in there. Put all of them in. Ultra 7, the M&Ms, some random ass chainsaw.
Our own logo.
Our own logo in there somewhere. City Hunter itself. Everything.
It could be too much, but actually this is one of my more favorite episodes.
More favorite. Wow.
Yes.
It's so good, it's not even grammatically correct.
It doesn't have to be.
But next week's gonna be even
more
better.
Well, yeah, it has to be better because we're in the finale now.
Right, so it's a two-parter. So we're in the last 2 episodes of the season. This is a big deal. It's an arcing set of episodes. There's not too many two-parters in the first season at all. So the fact that our season is ending on a two-parter is pretty monumental for these guys.
Also, we're bringing back all of our side recurring characters. So you're going to see Umibozu. You're going to see Sayako. You're going to see Sayako's little sister. Everyone is here.
Everyone that matters, anyway.
Everybody that matters. And some people that don't, and they're the bad guys. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to tune in for that because it's a doozy.
It's more serious. There's slightly less comedy. In fact, significantly
there's
less
next to no comedy.
Significantly less comedy than this particular episode that we just talked about for entirely too long right now. A penis. Anyway.
Jesus. Penis Jesus. That's the subtitle for this episode, Kaylin. I hope you're happy.
I haven't been making subtitles for these episodes.
Well, you make like little descriptions for them on Google, right?
Oh, okay. So one of the notes I will put in the descriptor of this episode will be penis Jesus. You're welcome, Josh.
I didn't do this.
You put the 2 words together, penis Jesus. That is a thing I did not do.
I need to go to church now.
I need to go to bed. This is way too late and way too long. That's what she said. Penis Jesus!
Just take us out.
That's also what she said.
God.
So come back next time when we cover the 50th episode of the TV series, The Deadliest Enemy, Rio and Kaori's Final Match, Part 1.
And if you want to catch us outside this podcast, you can always find us both over on Twitter. I'm at JoshKnightFirst.
And I'm at MarzGurl. Thank you all so much for listening to our 49th episode of MokkoriPlay. And if you don't come back next episode, I'm gonna step on Josh's toes in high heels.
Well, better my toes than my penis.
Penis Jesus.